Greetings all and welcome. I've been thinking about this phenomenon I've seen increasing in speed and regularity, this modern witch hunt of calling everybody a shill or CIA or an agent or all the other accusations that are levelled. Now, before I go on with that, I would say that I'm not encouraging people not to call out people that we believe and that demonstrate that they're being dishonest. But it's got to the point that people can come into a comment section and make the wildest accusations without anything to substantiate those. And then this wave of mob rule, mob mentality takes over, and people become the victim of accusations that are merely somebody's opinion, and rarely, in my experience of having looked at many of these cases, rarely have any evidence to corroborate these wild accusations. I've myself have been accused. I've been accused now of being an agent for the CIA. I've been accused of working with agents. I've been accused of being a gatekeeper. I've been accused of using occult symbolism. I've been accused that my videos are obviously too good quality for it just to be me. Now, some of those I kind of get. Have I used symbols in my videos? Yes. Did I use them with some nefarious intention? No. Did I consider that somebody somewhere would say, oh my God, he's using a spiral, he must be hypnotising people, it's full of occult symbols? I don't hold anything against anyone who's made those accusations, because we're probably all guilty of it to one degree or another. My concern is that it seems to be now the norm for people to dissect everything that's posted and find reasons that people are shills or gatekeepers or working for the Illuminati or working for the Jews or working against the Jews or working for the left or working for the right. And this really got hammered home when a couple of videos ago I posted a video and some people that were quite close to me questioned me. Now, that unnerved me. Firstly, because I thought, oh my God, these people think that I'm some kind of shill gatekeeper. And secondly, because I thought, wow, because I know I'm not. Now, obviously none of you know that, but there are a couple of people that watch my videos that will absolutely know because I know them in person. But I appreciate we don't know anybody. But it seems so easy to be able to point fingers at people and not corroborate. Now, having gone through my videos, I can honestly say there is nothing intentional, nothing trying to gatekeep, nothing trying to mislead. I was called a gatekeeper because when I did a video on going down all these rabbit holes, my whole point of that was not that we should stop looking at rabbit holes, but rather, what are we doing with that info once we find this stuff out, instead of jumping down another rabbit hole. But a comment was left that I must be a gatekeeper. And I did some visuals for Matt's video, and within the comment section of that are some ludicrous accusations. The mind boggles. It's really easy to be taken over by mob rule, and I'm sure most of us were told by our parents not to bully, and this is a form of bullying. Now, I again stress promoting that we should stop questioning, but have some evidence to back it up, not just your opinion. Don't look for something said or written within a post and because it happens to total 33, this person must be a Mason. People are going crazy. This feels like divide and conquer. We don't need to be ruled by the elite because we're ruling ourselves. We're turning on ourselves. This is nuts. So think about the decisions that we make. Think about the fingers that we point at people, and maybe, just maybe, they're innocently trying to share info. I've no doubt this video There will be comments accusing me of being a gatekeeper or a shill because I'm talking about this. And honestly, I don't really care. The fact of the matter is, most of the people that I see making such wild accusations, and sometimes with expletives that are completely unnecessary, are not even channel content creators. They're faceless people with faceless profiles throwing around wild accusations, and unfortunately people love to jump on a bandwagon. So if the next time you decide to get on a bandwagon, consider what your motives are and consider how your behaviours are driven by being part of a conforming group of people. So parents seldom accept as an excuse their child's plea of, hey, everyone else is doing it. However, psychological studies demonstrate that those same parents, and indeed anyone else, tend to take their cues for proper behaviour in most social contexts from the actions of others. This pressure is called the conformity bias. Psychologist Solomon Asch found that when he asked subjects to tell which of the 3 lines is the same length as the 4th, no one had difficulty doing it unless they were placed in a group with Asch's confederates, who obviously gave the wrong answers. And under those conditions, almost all of the subjects found it very painful to give the obviously correct answer in contradiction to the stranger's wrong answers. In fact, most participants gave an obviously incorrect answer at least once during the study. This bias to conform is much greater, of course, when others in the group are not strangers but are co-employees or friends, or when the correct answer is not right there in black and white, and as it was in the Asch study, but instead subjective questions like ethical issues. The impairment of individual decision making, known as the group think, where people deciding in groups often make more extreme decisions than any other individual member initially supports. That can exacerbate conformity bias. It can reasonably be argued that loyalty and groupthink help the Morton Thiokol employees to remain silent about the O-ring dangers, and that caused the Challenger space shuttle disaster. An employee at the accounting firm KPMG challenged the ethics of the tax shelters that the firm was selling at the time, and he received a simple email that said, "You're either on the team or you're off the team." Well, everybody wants to be on the team. We all realise loyalty is generally an important virtue, but it causes a pressure to conform, and this pressure to conform has been argued helped cause Ford employees to sell the Ford Pinto despite the awareness of its gas tank dangers, and helped R.H. Robins employees to continue to sell the Dalcon Shield contraception despite knowing of its ghastly medical consequences. Now, psychological and organisational pressures can cause even people with good intentions to lie or otherwise act unethically. Good character, unfortunately, is not always sufficient, and as Dumbledore told Harry Potter, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. So groupthink occurs when people's desire to maintain group loyalty becomes more important than making the best choices. People often find it hard to think and act independently in group situations. According to psychologist Irvin Janis, groupthink is a deterioration of mental efficiency, reality testing and moral judgment that results from in-group pressures. Group members often suffer overconfidence and hold an unquestioned belief in the group's competence and morality. Dissent by group members may be discouraged and even lead to expulsion from the group. Because people often want to avoid these punishments, they will remain silent. Now, this creates the illusion of agreement or unanimity in the group. Groups may also reach decisions, including moral judgments, which are more extreme than any single member of the group originally supported. Unfortunately, if groupthink takes hold, group members may not even distinguish ethically dubious decisions and actions. For example, some people say that the Bush administration decision to invade Iraq because of the non-existent weapons of mass destruction was due to groupthink. Indeed, groupthink can cause us to value harmony and consensus over independent judgment and can lead to unethical behaviour. Moral reasoning applies to critical analysis to specific events to determine what is right or wrong and what people ought to do in any particular situation. Both philosophers and psychologists study moral reasoning. How we make day-to-day decisions like what I should wear or should I lie or tell the truth, the brain processes both in generally the same way. Now, moral reasoning typically applies logic and moral theories, such as deontology or utilitarianism, to specific situations or dilemmas. However, people are not especially good at moral reasoning. Indeed, the term moral dumbfounding describes the fact that people often reach strong moral conclusions they cannot logically defend. In fact, evidence shows that moral principle or the theory a person chooses to apply is often, ironically, based on their emotions and not on logic. Their choice is usually influenced by internal biases or outside pressures, such as self-serving bias or just the desire to conform. So, while we likely believe we approach ethical dilemmas logically and rationally, the truth is our moral reasoning is usually influenced by intuitive, emotional reactions. Have a look at this little social experiment. The people entering their lift with their backs to us are part of the experiment. The chap facing has no idea what's occurring. And this is to do with social conformity. You can see he's looking very uncomfortable. And ultimately adjusts his behaviour to comply. Here's another example. Same thing, the chap in the lift at the moment, and the stooges get into the lift facing him with their backs to us. He looks uncomfortable. What's going on here? And after thought, turns and complies with the groupthink. This final chap, didn't take much for him to turn around. This is actually my favourite clip here. Watch what happens when the doors open. He's changed direction, looking very uncomfortable, but complies. And once again, they've moved him around, they're really playing with him. But our desire to fit in, to be in group rather than on the outside, is really demonstrated here. I've made another video that demonstrates this as well. We are very easily influenced by our environment. So an in-group is a group of people who identify with each other based on a variety of factors, including gender, race, religion, geography. Our tendency to distinguish between in-group and out-group members has moral implications. People may harm those who they perceive to be in an out-group in ways they would not harm in-group members. For example, one study showed that when a football team's supporters viewed fans of their own team being harmed, they felt empathy. But when they viewed the fans of a rival team being similarly harmed, they felt pleasure. Likewise, people tend to make different moral judgments based on in-group and out-group distinctions. When someone in our in-group misbehaves, the natural reaction is often to dismiss their behaviour as no big deal. But when someone in our out-group does the same thing, we will tend to judge their behaviour much more harshly. Indeed, when automatic in-group and out-group distinctions replace conscious and thoughtful reflection, we are more likely to harm one another and behave unethically. So I guess for me, what I take from all of this is the next time I choose to call somebody out, I should remember that for every finger I point at others, 3 point back at me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and remember, take care of yourself and those that you love.